Hi everybody, this is Pat in the paper closet. We're back today. We're going to be making the cover to our book. The most important part. Covers it all up, protects it. So far I finished my pages off camera. So we have all 5 of our pages done. And here's the binding we made the other day. This we're going to be putting inside our cover today. Now my binding, remember, the outer, this is the part of the binding that's going to get glued to the spine of the book. So this should measure from this fold to this fold. The same size as your spine on your book. Mine is 3 inches. So I'm going to be cutting my spine at 3 inches by 7 3/4. I believe. Hold on one second. Your binding piece should be the same size as your page, 8 1/4. And our page is, well, this is the one that I made, 8 1/4. If you change the size of your page, yours won't match. So I wanted to show you, this is how you, when we get to that point, our pages are going to go over these hinges. It fits right inside of that opening. You have to snip off the ends, but that's how it will go. So this is what's going to hold your pages, how you're going to be able to turn them. Your hinge bends up and down, so that's how your page will look. It'll be on the hinge. You'll have all 5 of them. It'll be open on this end for our insert, and that will be it. You see, the page measures exactly the same as the binding. We're going to angle these corners before we put them on, so they'll slip on nice and tightly. Okay, let's get to making our cover. Trying not to make these videos too long, so you can come back and review a few times before you start making things. Now I've cut my 2 pieces of outer cover. These are cut at 7 3/4 by 8 3/4. They are a 1/2 inch higher than my page, so depending on your page size. So they're a 1/2 inch taller than the page size, and they are, let's see, mine is, I believe it's an inch. Yes, my pages are 6 3/4. So we're going to make this cover. You wouldn't do it on all books, but being that we have the tabs that stick out, we're going to add 1 inch to the edge so we have room. So we're going to cut the cover at 7 3/4 by 8 3/4. Okay, these I've cut. I have my 2 pieces. Now this is my leftover piece from cutting one of the covers. So I'm just going to cut this for my spine. My spine is 3 inches wide, which is what this measures. No, this is 3 1/4. Let me cut it down. 3 inches. 3 inches. And it's 8 3/4 inches tall, the same size as the cover, the main cover. Alright, I'm going to find the metal edge of my ruler. I need another mark here. Another 3 inch mark. Okay, the metal edge of my ruler on my lines. I have to move this up a little bit. 1/4 of an inch I'm cutting off here. Looks about right. I'm using a craft knife. You can cut this on your paper cutter, your paper trimmer, but it does ruin your blade. So when I do it, I save an old blade and I put an X on it, and that's the only blade I use when I'm cutting chipboard. But this one I'm going to cut with my... So you start up against the ruler, make a light line. This way you always have somewhere where you can feel where you're cutting. Once you get that first line, you're in the right groove. A couple of passes over it, not too hard. You'll feel when you're all the way through. Like that, I'm through. See? You can feel it when you're cutting. Just want to make sure I've got enough loose up here. Okay. Now I'm going to cut this end. And make sure my measurement here doesn't look right. This line? Yes. This is my line. Then I'm going to do the same thing. Starting a little bit past the line. 3, 4, 5, 6 passes should get you through. Doesn't feel like it is. Okay. And that's all there is to cutting it. Very easy. You don't have to press hard. You just keep going over it several times. Make that first line right up against the ruler. And then just keep going back in the same line. So that's how you cut the chipboard. My leftover. And now I have my spine, which my binding will fit right on. Yes. I have my pages. Here's my cover. My 2 cover pieces. Make sure you put them in the right direction. They're wider than they are tall. I mean, they're taller than they are wide. All right, now in order to make this, I have to glue together 3 sheets of cardstock. I'm using 8.5 by 11. So we're gonna need 3. I have them here. I got a mark on my paper, but that's okay. It's gonna get covered up. Okay, you've seen me do this before. I just lined it up on my mat. I don't want to lose my pen. Run the glue along the edge about 1/4 inch. You don't want a lot. Just enough for it to stay together. About 1/4 inch wide. Close to the edges you can get, and the end. I think I'm off camera. I can't get any closer. I'd have to move my tripod back. Okay, take another sheet. Starting at the bottom and lining it up on my 1/4 inch line on my mat. And the 1/4 inch line at the top. Make sure it's straight. And rub it down. Puts it down good. Okay, now we're going to do that one more time. Line this up on my mat. Run my glue, 1/4 inch. Okay, take a sheet, line up the 1/4 inches at the top or the bottom, wherever you want to start. and press it down. So you're lining it up 1/4 of an inch from the edge, from the end of your paper this way. Okay, we now have 3 sheets attached. Now I want to figure out, let me put the pin in my glue. Here are 3 pieces. You have 2 covers and the spine. Now I have to figure out where you want your seams to be. I think we're covering up both front and back with patterned paper, so it doesn't really matter. Here's our seam here and a seam here. So it won't matter. See if I can move this over a little bit. That's my seam. Now you don't want to put the edge of your chipboard on a seam. That you don't want. I'm going to go a little bit past. Here's my seam here. 1/2 inch from the bottom. Try and get it straight. You can make a mark at the bottom if you want. Measure 1/2 inch. If not, try to get it as straight as you can. I have made, on my chipboard, I took 2 scraps from the chipboard and I glued them together. And that's going to be my spacer to keep our cover so it can move, so it can open. And that looks pretty small. Not that bad. About 1/8 of an inch. Okay. First we're going to put glue on our piece of chipboard. All around the edge. As usual. All 4 sides. In the corner. In the corners. Nice edge. I'm trying to do this quickly today. I'm very slow at gluing. So let's see how fast I can glue it. Alright, that's pretty good. All the area is covered, basically. Now we're going to put this on our paper. We know we don't want it even with the seam in the middle. About 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. 1/2 inch, I'm sorry. And try to get it straight. That looks pretty straight. And press it down. Now we're making this cover the same as you've seen me make the cover for the photo book, the simple photo book, and also the daily journal. It's going to be a wrapped cover. So we cover the edges. Paper is large. Turn it over. Give it a good press. Spread out your glue with the edge. Here it is. Now over here. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to turn it back over again. Now we're going to take our spine piece. This mine is 3 inches. We're going to put glue on that. Speed glue. Which doesn't work too well for me. I'm doing pretty good here. One more inch. Get the corners and your ends. You want everything to stick down well. Put them in the middle. said, we're going to put this an eighth of an inch away, at least an eighth of an inch. I'm just going to see if I can use this. Line it up, top and bottom. That looks good. Press it down. Okay, so we have one part of our cover and the spine glued down. Turn it over. Give it a press. Okay, bring it back over. And now we're going to do our last piece. Just we'll put on the glue. This doesn't have to be neat. You do want to get in the corners. And some possibly you can along the edges. You don't want them popping up. I cannot glue fast. Corner. One more edge. Even better. As much as you can cover it. Not totally. You don't want it saturated. Enough that all areas will stick down. Okay, that's good. Glue. Okay, I'm going to take a little piece. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Being that this is black, it's a little harder. I want about an eighth of an inch space in between. Move this over a little bit so you can see. Can you see my space? Press it down. No, test that one out. You hear it's hitting? It's too close. I kind of thought so. Try to move it over. You really want enough space so they don't crash into each other. But not, if you have too much space, your book is going to collapse on itself. So there's no happy medium there. You just have to experiment. You want to make sure they don't crash into each other. That's better. Okay, let's get our glue stuck down. Where's the end of my paper? Over here. Rub along the edges, corners. My top is right here. Spread up some glue here. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, we'll glue down. Now. We have extra along the edge here, so I'm just going to cut that off. I'm going to cut it down to about a half an inch. That makes a nice even wrap. Cut that off. Now I'm going to cut off the top here. This is rather large. I don't have much room to work in. So I'm guessing that I'm cutting straight. Looks pretty good. Looks like I have a little more than half an inch, however, but that's okay. I'm going to cut off this end. Okay, now we're going to start our bending, just like we did on our other covers. Hold it up so the edge of your paper goes over the edge of your chipboard. And just making a fold, both long sides. And get it started so it'll be easier to fold over when we're gluing. That's good. And the ends, hope I don't hit the camera. Fold the ends over. There's one. Fold this end over. That'll give us a good start. Okay. Now before we do anything else, we're going to miter the corners off. Remember, we're going to leave 1/8 of an inch. We're going to cut it on an angle, leaving 1/8 of an inch at the point, right at that point. See, here's our corner. We want 1/8 of an inch out from there, on all 4 corners. And the last one. Okay. All our corners are trimmed. Now we're going to start working it up in camera here. Holding it up and over the end of the chipboard. Press. I don't know if you caught any of that, but I slammed into the tripod of the camera. Camera fell, hit me in the head, but I'm fine. Let me move some of this stuff out of my way. This is so big, it's very big and awkward to work with. Okay, as I was showing you, we're pressing up the edges of our chipboard, our cardstock, onto the chipboard. You don't want to rip it. Now I see my little seam has opened up here. I'm going to put some glue on there. Close it up. Check the other ends. No, they're fine. Okay, that one's back to where it was. Pressing up the cardstock so it's easier to fold all the way to the end. Excuse me. The other side. Pressing up our cardstock. Oh, I did it again. There's some glue. I didn't glue my ends well, you see, that's what happens. When you don't get the glue all the way to the end of your paper, it pops apart. Be careful with this piece. Okay, pushing it up. I'm trying to keep it in camera here and not hit myself in the head again. Alright, those look good. Let's try the ends. Press them up. There are no seams here, so there's nothing opening up. Pressing your cardstock up. You want to get a good crease going. Okay, good. Now we're going to start gluing this down along the long end. For some reason my paper does not want to stay glued together here. I'll hold it for a few seconds. Okay, I'm going to work on the other side while that dries. Unfold your cardstock and start putting down your glue along the whole edge, all the way to the end. I'm probably off camera by now. This piece is so big. I'm just putting down glue along this whole edge. Although you can't see me. There you go. Nothing has to be neat about this. Any direction you can go. Okay, now we're going to push it back up with the glue starting in the center. I'm going to press it up and hold it a bit as we go. Pressing up as hard as you can against the edge. Getting it to stick down. No creases so far, which is good. Okay, pressing up. Getting to stick down all the way across to our end. That looks very good. There are no creases. My seams are closed. Very good. Okay, then turn it around. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Gluing it down. I'm watching the timer on the camera, but trying to go a little bit quicker this time. Glue all the way to the end, covering the whole piece. Now starting in the center, I'm going to lift it up, fold it as we go a little bit. Pressing it up so we're against the edge of the chipboard. And getting your end down well. Okay, no creases, no wrinkles. Let's work our way down. I'm feeling a little wrinkle right there. You can work it out with the bone folder. Pushing up the rest. Making sure it's stuck down. And I'll give it a good press. So without your space between your spine and your cover, give that a little push down. I'm just going over any edges I see here that looks a little loose. Spread some of the glue around. Okay. Reinforcing that crease. And that's that. Now we're going to do the ends. We're going to push in a little corner. Which you all know I can't do with the bone folder. I need to do it with my finger. Okay. Both ends. Alright, that's good. Okay, now we're going to put glue on one end. Same as before, all the way across. Put a little glue over that fold. Get to your points. starting in the center. I'm hoping you can see. Okay, holding it down a little bit as you press, working your way across to your corner, giving it a good press, getting the glue to dry a little bit. And now the other end. Speed glue. Okay. Starting in the center, pressing it into the end of the chipboard, this edge, so you don't have a space there. Getting it to stick, pressing it down. I feel like I'm on speed camera here. I hate to rush, but I don't want it to be too long. Alright, well, looks like we have this pretty well glued down. I don't see any loose edges. Can you see all our wrapped edges here? What I mean by wrapped is we put the cardstock right over the edge of our chipboard. This way it doesn't show. Alright, now we're going to start folding up this a little bit, getting it to work its way up again without ripping our paper. These little bits should be pushed into that crease. This way they don't rip the outer edge when you lift it up. And now this side, pressing them in and bringing it up slowly. And that should be good. All right. There is our cover. Now you see we do have seams here, but this is going to get covered by our pattern paper. So it's going to get another complete cover over it. You see there are no cracks in our creases here, our seams. The fold of the cover. That's what we want. Okay, not wasting time. Now we're going to put in our binding hinge. I told you this should fit right in between the folds of your cover, and it does. Now when we glue this down, you're going to leave 1/4 inch at the top and 1/4 inch at the bottom. I'm not going to put glue on these wings yet, just the back of the spine, because I want to make sure this fits in between the folds. Okay, let's turn it over and glue. Nothing on here. Start at the first fold. Completely cover the back. I hope you can see you. Putting my glue all over the back, the whole thing. This is going to hold it in our book, so we want to make sure it's going to hold. Now we want to go up to this fold, the last fold here. Not on the wing. Okay, fill it in. Turn it around. More easier. To our fold. Filling it in, getting some up at the edge. Now I see a lot of people make these, they cover the entire back spine with double-sided tape. But I'd rather use glue. Okay, we're almost done with this piece. Getting our glue all the way to the edge. Filling that in. Now less space here. There. A little more down here. Okay. Now I'm going to take this. I'm not going to press it down yet. I'm just going to try to lay it down. Now I'm looking where my folds are, where the in between these two folds. I want that fold of the spine piece to be right inside the folds, top and bottom. And about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom and 1/4 of an inch from the top. You have a little bit of time to wiggle it, but not too much. Now we're going to press this one down first, then this one. And I'm going to go in between and press them all down. Keep working it down so your glue starts to dry. In between the hinges, pressing it onto your spine. Keep going until you feel it's kind of dry. You want to make sure this holds. Give a good press on those ends. And it's out here. You see this piece? You see we can still see a little bit of the space of our separation here. The same on this side. We can see the space. So we're in good shape here. Let's keep going, pressing this down a little. We need to make sure this is glued very well. It's holding our whole inside of our book in there. Okay, now start taking your hinges and move them back and forth a little bit so that when they're in the book, they're not so stiff. Like this one. Okay, that's good. Now we're just going to add glue to our wing piece here. I'm going to put it on the wing piece itself, covering the whole thing. Corners, edges. And this is going to help hold the whole hinge piece down in our book. Rather than end it here, we've extended it that 1.5 inches. So there's more surface that's holding down. And you won't have any problems. Starting from this side, you're going to start pressing it down. You see, so we have more surface glued down to hold this whole piece in. Corners down, your edges. Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. Get your corners good. And that's the only thing neat about this job. No one sees the glue. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. Press it down from the inside to the outside. Get your corners down well. This crease down well. And that's how you insert your hinge piece. Your hinges are in. You just keep folding them back and forth. See, they're getting a little easier. The pages will move as you're turning them. They'll go back and forth. That's very good. Okay, so that's our wrapped cover with the hinge piece inserted. That was our plan for today. So our next part, I'm not going to fold this up yet. I want this glue to dry before I pull on it. But when it's dry, you know the thing. We put your bone folder in the crease, pressing it down slowly, lifting up the cover slowly, so that we don't tear our cardstock on the outside. Everything's glued down well. Very good. And when we cover things, we're going to be covering up this wing pattern paper. We cover the back, this side with pattern paper. And mine, you will see the black excuse me, in between the hinges. You can, like I told you, make your whole hinge out of a piece of pattern cardstock, if that's what you want to see in between your pages. But I don't want to be black. Everything's going to be black edges. Okay. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time. I'm going to try pressing this in and giving it a fold so I can show you. Do it very slowly. Lifting your paper so the paper is going into that crease. Not too hard, you'll rip it. Just enough pressure to push it into the fold. Okay, there's one side. And the other side. I would rather you let this dry thoroughly though, before you do this. I just wanted to show you. I'm going to lay it out flat when I'm done. I'm not going to close it up. Just keep lifting it slowly as you're pushing into that crease. There we go. So both of my sides can be, there it is. And there's, can you see the spine in there? That's what our pages are going to get connected to. Okay, so I hope I explained that well. I'm going to let this dry out flat and then close it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Hope it was some help. This is how to make a wrapped cover, as we've done before. Our next part will be putting our pages on the hinges. So we'll put on our pages, and then a few of the pages I will start adding flips and pockets, and I'll show you, and then I'll finish off camera, and then I'll come back and show you what I added to each page. So you can decide what you want on your pages and where you want them. You want them on the first page, on the last page. So we'll be back to do that. Okay, so thank you very much. I hope that wasn't too complicated. My head's okay. Alright, I'll be back soon. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed so you get the notifications of the next video. And I'll see you soon. Thank you.